Good evening, children. Welcome to 7th Standard Social Online class. Students, we are studying History Unit 2, Emergence of New Kingdoms in North India. In our previous class, we have learned about the contribution of Rajputs to art and architecture. The Rajputs, they introduced a famous painting called Rajasthani painting. And they were great builders. The best example for their architectural skill, the Khajuraho temples in Bundelkhand, the Sun Temple in Konark, the Dilwara Jain Temple in Mount Abu in Rajasthan, and Kendriya Temple at Madhya Pradesh. After this, we have finished. Today we are going to see about another new topic, Advent of Islam. How did Islam come to India? In India, we are following many religions. The major religion here, Hinduism, then Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism and Zoroastrianism. Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism and Sikhism were originated in India. Regarding Islam, it came from Arabian countries. Islam as a religious faith originated at Mecca in Arabia. Note this one. Islam was originated in Mecca in Arabia. The founder of Islam was Prophet Muhammad. Note this one. Who was the founder of Islam? Prophet Muhammad. The followers of Islam are called Muslims. Those who embraced, those who follow Islam religion, they were called as Muslims. An Islamic state, especially the one ruled by a single religious and political leader, was known as caliphate. If a king ruled a country called kingdom. If a caliph ruled a state, the kingdom we call caliphate. Caliph means a representative of the Prophet Muhammad. So caliph is nothing but he is a religious head of all Muslims in the world. Caliph means religious head of all Muslims in the world. It means a representative of the Prophet Muhammad. Two early caliphates were Umayyad and Abbasids. Note this one. On those days, initially, there were two caliphates, Umayyad kingdom and Abbasids kingdom. Both the Umayyads and Abbasids expanded their rule separately by their conquest and by breaching the principles of Islam. Both Umayyads and Abbasids, they have the main aim to spread out Islam throughout the world. In the 8th century AD, India, the Arab presence appeared in the form of Muslim army that conquered Sindh. Already we know that one. The Arab conquered Sindh in the year 712 AD. But their further expansion was made impossible. They couldn't expand their territory because of the kings of Gangetic Plains and the kings of Deccan. By the end of 9th century, with the decline of Abbasid Caliphate, the Arab garrisons mean army in India and elsewhere threw off caliph's control and began to rule independently. So after the decline of Abbasid Caliphate, the Arabs, they began to expand and they rule independently. The Turkish governor Alp Degen was one among them, whose capital was Ghazni. Note this one. Ghazni nowadays we call Afghanistan. His successor and son-in-law Sabuk Degen. Note this one. The Turkish governor named Alp Degen, his son-in-law, and he became the successor of him. His name was Sabuk Degen. He wanted to conquer India from the northwest, but only his son Muhammad succeeded in his endeavor. Now we will see the Arab conquest of Sindh and what was its impact. Impact means result. In 712 AD, Muhammad bin Ghazin, who was the commander of Umayyad kingdom. He invaded Sindh. So 712 AD, note this year. Who came to India? Muhammad bin Qasim. He was the commander of Umayyad kingdom, one of the caliphate. He invaded Sindh. Qasim defeated Dahir. Dahir, he was the ruler of Sindh, Hindu ruler of Sindh, and killed him in the battle. The capital of Sindh, Arur, was captured. Qasim extended his conquest further into Multan. Notice the place. Multan, it was considered as the golden city. So many riches was in Multan. Gold and silver were abundant in Multan. So they extended their conquest up to Multan. He organized the administration of Sindh. The people of Sindh were given the status of protector subjects. The people of Sindh, they were given well protected by this Qasim. There was no interference in the lives and religions of the people. At that time, Qasim did not interfere in the religious matters of Sindh people. But soon, Qasim was recalled by the Caliph. Who was Caliph? The religious head. So 712 AD, Muhammad bin Qasim, he came to India and he captured Sindh. And he established his administration and he protected the people well, and he did not interfere in the local affairs and religious matters of the people. But he was called by the Caliph. The Arab scholars visited Sindh and studied many Indian literary works. They translated many Sanskrit books on astronomy, philosophy, mathematics, and medicine into Arabic. So many Arabian scholars, they came to India and they settled here and they studied our Indian astronomy book, philosophy book, all those books, and they translated them into their Arabian language. They learnt the numerals 0 to 9 from India. Until then, the people in the West did not know the use of 0. Note this one. Before the coming of Arabian to Sindh, they don't know about the numbers 0 to 9. Through the Arabs, the Europe gained more knowledge in mathematics. The importance of 0 was learnt by them from India. It is believed that the people in the West and the Arabs learnt the game of chess only from the Indians. So these are the effects of Arabian conquest of Sindh. Students, you see this map. In India, the Arabs, they conquered the place. You see that pink color area, Sindh. The Saudi Arabia, that kingdom we call Caliphate Kingdom. Now we will see Muhammad of Ghazni, 997 AD to 1030 AD. Muhammad is said to have conducted 17 raids. Note this one. Muhammad of Ghazni, he came to India, he invaded India 17 times. At that time, North India was divided into a number of small kingdoms. This was one of the reasons for their victory. There is no unity in the North Indian kingdoms. There were many small Rajput kingdoms and often they were struggled with each other. One of them was Shahi kingdom, which extended from Punjab to Kabul. The other important kingdoms were Kannauj, Gujarat, Kashmir, Nepal, Malwa and Bundelkhand. The initial raids were against the Shagi kingdom, in which its king Jayapala. Note this one, Shagi kingdom was ruled by Jayapala. Immolated himself because he thought that this defeat was a disgrace. Jayapala was defeated by Muhammad of Ghazni, so he committed suicide. His successor Anandapala fought against Muhammad but was defeated in the battle of Vaihind. Note this one, near Peshawar in 1008 AD. As a result of his victory at Vaihind, Muhammad extended his rule over Punjab. The subsequent raids of Muhammad into India were aimed at plundering the rich temples and cities of North India. Note this one, Muhammad of Ghazni, he had no idea to rule India. Only to took the wealth. He wanted to take all the wealth from India, blended the rich temples and cities of North India. In 1011, he raided Nagarkot in Punjab hills and Taneshwar near Delhi. Students see these temples. This is a remaining part of the Somnath temple after raided by Muhammad Ghazni. This marvelous temple was raided by Muhammad Ghazni. He took away all the wealth from here. This is his 16th invasion. In 1018, Muhammad plundered the holy city Mathura. He also attacked Kannauj. The ruler of Kannauj, Rajapala, abandoned. Abandoned means he escaped from throne. He escaped from Kannauj and later he died. Muhammad returned with enormous riches. His next important raid took place in Gujarat. In 1024 AD, Muhammad marched from Multan across Rajputana, current we call Rajasthan, and defeated the Solanki king Bhimdeva I, and he blunted Anhilwat. Muhammad is said to have shaked means destroyed, the famous temple of Somnath. Note this one. Muhammad completely destroyed the Somnath temple that is in Gujarat, breaking the idol statue. Then he returned through the Sindh desert. This was his last campaign in India. Muhammad died in 1030 AD. The Ghaznavite Empire roughly included Persia, Transoxiana, Afghanistan and Punjab. Now we will see Muhammad of Ghor. Already we heard this name in Chauhan dynasty. Prithviraj Chauhan, he defeated Muhammad Ghori in first battle of Charain, and Ghori defeated Prithviraj in second battle of Charain. Now we will see about Muhammad of Ghor. His career started from 1149 to 1206. Muhammad of Ghor or Muhammad Ghori, he started as a vassal. Vassal means governor of Ghazni, but became independent after the death of Muhammad of Ghazni. Taking advantage of the decline of Ghaznavite Empire, Muhammad Ghori brought Ghazni under his control. So after the death of Muhammad Ghazni, the Ghaznavite Empire began to disappear. Muhammad Ghori, he taking this an advantage and he began to rule as an independent ruler. Having made his position strong and secure at Ghazni, Muhammad turned his attention to India. Unlike Muhammad of Ghazni, he wanted to extend his empire by conquering India. Ghazni, he had no aim to conquer India and to rule India. He wanted to take the wealth of India. But Muhammad Ghori, he wanted to conquer India. He wanted to establish his rule in India. In 1175, Muhammad captured Multan and occupied whole of it. In his subsequent expedition, in 1186, he attacked Punjab and captured it. Now we will see the two famous battles of Charain that was fought in the year 1191 and 1192. Realizing the grave situation in which they were caught, the Hindu princes of North India formed a confederacy under the command of Prithviraj Chauhan. So all the Rajput kings, they formed a confederacy under the leadership of Prithviraj Chauhan to defeat Muhammad Ghori. Prithviraj rose to the occasion and defeated Muhammad in the Battle of Charain near Delhi in 1191. This is called First Battle of Charain. To take revenge this defeat, Muhammad made a serious preparation and he gathered a huge army to defeat Prithviraj. He arrived with his large force in Lahore via Peshawar and Multan. He sent a message to Prithviraj asking him to accept his supremacy and become a Muslim. But Prithviraj refused the proposal and he prepared his army to oppose the Muhammad Ghori. Many Hindu kings and chieftains also joined him. In the ensuing second battle of Charain in 1192, Muhammad thoroughly routed the army of Prithviraj, who was captured and killed. So in the second battle of Charain, Prithviraj was defeated and killed by Muhammad Ghori. The second battle of Charain was a major disaster for the Rajputs. Their political prestige suffered a serious setback. First point. After the second battle of Charain, it gave a loss of prestige to the Rajputs. The whole Chauhan kingdoms now lay at the feet of the invader. The Chauhan kingdoms, they fell under the feet of Muhammad Ghori. The first Muslim kingdom was thus firmly established in India. This is another result. First Islamic kingdom or Muslim kingdom was established in India at Ajmer, and a new era in the history of India began. New era means the Mughal era or Muslim era. After his victory over Prithviraj at Charain, Muhammad returned to Ghazni to deal with the threat from the Turks and Mongols. After the death of Muhammad in 1206, his most capable general, Qutbuddin Aibak, who had been left behind in India, he took control over the Muhammad territories in India, and he declared himself as the first Sultan of Delhi. This Qutbuddin Aibak, he was the slave of Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori, he left Aibak in India and he became the first Sultan of Delhi. Students, we have completed second lesson. Today I will give civics 2 marks and 1 word and detail. You study well for the test. Thank you.